Every single day that we are on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, anything like this, we see the same marketing mistakes over and over and over again. And when people are trying to start a ball python breeding business, I think that, as we've talked about in the past, one of the most common reasons why people get out of the hobby and they stop breeding altogether is that they have a hard time selling their animals. And I think that if you or anybody that you know are making these common mistakes, it is probably one of the reasons why that they might have trouble selling animals, specifically on social media. So this video isn't meant to be a value statement. It's not meant as a way to judge people if they've done these things or these tactics or anything like that in the past. Instead, it's a way to highlight some of the common problems, talk about why they are problems and why they are detrimental towards your marketing efforts and ultimately your business, as well as ways that you can fix them. So, if you guys are interested in marketing a ball python business, this is the video for you. Now, very first mistake that I'm going to talk about is people who have unprofessional brands. And I think that everybody sees this. You see somebody starting a business and that they are using like a colored pencil drawing for a logo and that you can barely make out what it says based off of the icon. Their photos look like, for lack of a better word, straight garbage. And that overall, the entire brand doesn't look professional. And this doesn't mean that everybody needs to have a hyper polished corporate level brand, but I do think that when you are presenting your public image to people and that image doesn't look like that you know what you're doing, I think that this is going to be one of the most common reasons why people fail to grow on social media, they fail to get interaction on social media, and ultimately they fail to sell animals on social media. So, the things that I think that you should do, or anybody should do, in order to have a professional brand. One is when you are looking at your content, the pictures, the videos, things like that, I think that if you or anybody paid a little bit of attention to deliberate lighting, I think it's going to up the professionalism of their photos, their videos, things like that, 10,000%. I'm not necessarily gonna go into a whole video about lighting. We did make a video about starting a YouTube channel where we have lighting, and I'll include that in the links down below, as well as maybe the end screen or something. So if you guys wanna get a little bit idea of how we make all of this look hopefully professional, we have an entire video on it. It's not like it's a hidden secret, but definitely check out the lighting techniques for photography, lighting techniques for videography, lighting techniques for portraits, for animals, anything like this. And that way on YouTube, not even from us, so that way you can up the professionalism of your content, which ultimately ups the professionalism of your brand. Because if your pictures are beautiful and your animals are beautiful, people are going to be way more likely to engage with you, follow you, and convert once it comes time to make a sale. Now, I think that's something that it is important. It is really important, but it comes down to logos. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, that a really bad logo does make it look unprofessional, but I don't think that logos are as important as people make them out to be. I think that you can very easily go online and look up stock snake logos or stock reptile logos, and you can find something that is already made that looks professional, and you can replace the information that you need and just buy the license for it. You don't necessarily need a graphic designer to come up with a brand new custom logo for you, especially if you're just starting out. I do think that if you have the skills to do it 100%. The longer that you have the same brand, the same logo, the more powerful it's going to be. But I don't think that somebody needs to get stressed about getting their logo right, as long as they have a logo that has a clear, consistent theme, and this usually has to do with colors. So for us, it is purple. And this is actually our second logo that we've had. So you can kind of see we have a simplified version here on our shirt. We have the more detailed version in the background, and then it's also our main logo, and that's what we put on all of our stuff. But these logos right here, they're actually a little bit different. The logos, this logo right here was our first one, and it had some flowers, it used some stock assets, so that way we could kind of build it, because I'm not a graphic designer, and it worked great for us. It was awesome, we were super happy, but we just polished it and made it consistent, so that way it has a same theme, same brand to it, but we just updated it and made it a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more us. So I think that when you are getting into like your brand, you're trying to avoid the mistake of having an unprofessional brand on social media. I think that finding a professional stock logo and just using that initially, you don't even have to keep it forever, but just initially using a stock logo and making it just adjusted towards your brand, your colors, everything like that. You can use that to come across way more professional than trying to hire somebody or trying to design a logo yourself if you are not ready to pay the premium that's going to cost to have a professional logo designer design the logo for you. The second mistake that I see, it kind of ties into the first one. So the first one is unprofessional brand on social media. I think the second one is somebody who is a perfectionist. And this is the type of person who wants everything to be as professional, as perfect as possible before they will do anything. And this will ultimately, I think, completely negate any actual efforts that you make, because especially at the beginning, it takes practice to become good at something. And if this is photography, videography, marketing, social media captions, or like the copy, just engaging with people on social media, doing lives, doing YouTube videos, it takes practice of doing them to get better at it. And if you are waiting to start before you're perfect, you'll never start. You will be so frustrated that you can't make things perfect that you will never actually post things. Or you'll post a couple things and then get discouraged when you realize that you don't have enough content to really make a go of it, and you'll give up. And I see this all the time. All the time on social media, you'll see new accounts start where they're amazing, but they dwindle very, very quickly after they kind of run out of all of the initial ideas. So I think that aiming for perfection is only going to get you frustrated, and it won't ultimately make a strong social media presence. And if you are not consistently delivering content to your audience, people are going to forget about you by the time it comes to the point where you need to make a sale. Now, these next mistakes are getting a little bit more specific. It's not dealing with the whole brand, these are like specific things. And the very first one, that third mistake that we see a lot on social media when it comes to the reptile hobby, is people being negative. And I think that this deals with people complaining about things, complaining about other breeders, complaining about other people, complaining about, even if it's not a specific person, this other type of keeper or this other type of person in the hobby and how awful they are. And I believe that if you are publicly displaying negative sentiment, it is ultimately going to be a turnoff to a potential audience. Nobody wants to deal with a negative Nancy. It brings you down, and it's kind of like the idea of like, well, if they're gonna complain about all of these people, what are they gonna complain about me for? So I think that publicly being negative is a mistake that I see all the time, and people don't realize that venting on social media has its place, but probably not from a place of a business account. And if you are trying to establish a ball python business, you probably shouldn't be like complaining about other people in the community. My advice is, if you want to vent about something on social media, do it from your personal account. Don't do it from your brand's account, because it's only going to serve to damage your brand. Now, the next one that I want to say, it deals with not so much of a mistake, but almost like an issue that people have. And this is slow to no growth. And this may be the mistake on here. The mistake is that people on social media, whether it's the reptile hobby, whether it's photography, whether it's any hobby that has a social media presence and a social media community, people get hyper obsessed with the amount of followers they have and other people have. And I think that this is just one of the worst mistakes that somebody can make, because it makes you focus on the wrong things, and it makes it really, really easy to fall into behaviors that will be ultimately detrimental to your overall account and your overall presence. So if you are hyper focused on the amount of followers you have and the amount of followers other people have, one is it's probably going to foster feelings of resentment towards other people in the community. You will see somebody who has been in the hobby less time than you. They've only been in for a year or 2 years, and you'll see them blow past you in followers, and it will make you resent them. It will make you dislike the fact that they haven't been doing it as long, and in your perception, they don't deserve the increased attention on them. And ultimately what this does is it makes you salty, it makes you negative about somebody who didn't do anything wrong to you. Just because somebody else has more followers than you doesn't mean that they did a bad thing. And if you're publicly being negative about this type of person, it turns off new people that are coming into the hobby, because if they see that you are putting out content saying like, oh, all these new people in the hobby, they care more about Instagram than they care about their animals. I really care about my animals, and they obviously just care about likes. What it's going to do is when new people come into the hobby and they see your content that says this, they'll be like, well, I like Instagram and I love my animals, and you're obviously wrong, and you're kind of being gatekeepy, and it will turn new people off from following you. If the majority of your current customers are new and you're not having very many returning customers, it probably shows that there is an issue in your customer service or in the product that you're selling. And people are not satisfied by it, and because of this, they are not returning to do business with you. But if the majority of the people who are your customers are people who already bought from you in the past and you're not really attracting new people, it's saying that you aren't catching the interest and you're not reaching out to new audiences, and ultimately it will make your business die. And I think that the same principle applies to social media. If the only people who are interacting with you are the people who've interacted with you from day one when you first started and they first started, and that's all the people who ever comment, all the people who ever like on your stuff, it shows that you are not reaching new audiences, you're not catching the attention of new audiences, or if you are reaching new audiences and you are catching their attention, they don't like the content that you're producing. And I don't think that people need to tailor their appearance and their content to fit what other people want, because I don't think that that's possible. I think everybody has different opinions. But I think that being aware, if you're putting out content that is actively alienating new audiences, it will probably be a mistake and detriment to you long term. Still focused on like people who are hyper focused on their followers. Beyond resentment towards other people, one thing that happens is they find that they aren't able to grow. So they start looking on different tips on how to grow. And one of the most common ones is the tactic called follow for follow, which we've talked about in the past. It is garbage, don't do it, it will ruin your account. But the premise is that you follow somebody and either comment or message to them saying like, follow for follow. Or you just follow them, and if they don't follow you back, you go and unfollow them later on. And what this does is it builds up your organic audience on social media of people who don't care about your content. They only wanted to follow you so that way they could get a higher follower count. And because they don't care about your content, they aren't engaging with your content. And if your own followers are not engaging with your content, the social media platforms say that your content isn't high quality, and therefore they're not going to recommend it to other people. It won't trend on the algorithm kind of thing. So if you have the majority of your audience built from follow for follow, let's say you have 10,000 people, 12,000 people, 15,000 people, and you are barely getting 100 people to like your posts, this is gonna be harsh, you've probably ruined your social media account. You have too many people who are following you, and like when it comes to Instagram, you have too many people who are in your organic Instagram audience that don't care about your content, that Instagram says that you are making bad content, even if you're not. But because there's not that engagement, there's no way for Instagram to know that you actually have really, really high quality content and good information that would be a benefit to new people, because they're like, well, the people who already follow him don't like his content or her content or anything like this. So why would we show this to somebody new? In the same vein, buying followers does this exact same thing. So when you buy followers, everybody's seen like the spam bots that will like post in your like DMs or anything like this. And it will be like, if you pay X amount of money, you can get 500 followers, 1,000 followers, 5,000 followers. And what happens is you pay the money to them, and they have bots, they have fake accounts that the company has made. Just follow your account. But the problem is these bots don't have any audience behavior that teaches the algorithm like, hey, this bot is interested in reptiles. In addition, once the bot follows you, you might be able to pay for likes, or you might be able to pay for comments. But once you stop paying them, they stop interacting with you. And if they stop interacting with you, you are going back to that same situation where your organic audience does not interact with your content. And because your organic audience, because it's in this case made up of bots and not real people, because your organic audience isn't interacting with your content, Instagram will not push it out to a new audience. Real people who are getting into the hobby today or tomorrow or next month or next year, they won't see your account because Instagram says, oh, of their 10,000, 12,000, 13,000, 15,000 followers, it looks like 90% of them see their posts and never interact with them at all. So it's garbage content. Now, when it comes to buying followers, there is a pattern that happens, and often is that the bots are recognized by Instagram as being fake, and it breaks the terms of service, and that these accounts get deactivated. So you'll see accounts that make use of this strategy where they will get huge surges of followers all at once, seemingly out of nowhere, without having a piece of content go viral, without having a huge increase in engagement, and then slowly the number will go down. So if they were at, let's say, 15,000 because they bought from 10,000 to 15,000, about 5,000 followers, you'll see a huge increase to 15,000 almost overnight. And then what will happen is, as the bots get taken down by Instagram, it will go down from 15,000 to 1450 to 14,000 to 1350, and so on and so forth. So it's the benefits that you get from buying bots, essentially looking like you have a larger audience than you do, it diminishes because over time Instagram recognizes that they're not real. And if Instagram recognizes that your account is buying bots based off of that pattern, they will deactivate it because it breaks their terms of service. So be aware, you don't want to spend 3 years building up an account, and because you want to get more followers faster, you buy bots to follow your account, and then 3 years from then, Instagram's algorithm recognizes that your account is made up of bots and that you are probably paying for them, so they take it down altogether. I think that one of the last mistakes that I see all the time on Instagram is people who think that if they post content, that's all they do, they just post their own content, their platforms will grow. And I think that this is, obviously, it's one of the pieces of advice that helps a healthy account, but people don't realize that there's more to it. And I think that the biggest piece of advice that I have for people, or biggest mistake that I have for people, is those who post content on their own and they don't go out and interact with the rest of the community. I think it is imperative that anybody who wants to start a business, whether it's reptiles or anything, any kind of hobby, that they are going out to other people in their community based off of social media. So on Instagram, you can search hashtags. In YouTube, you can look up different videos that are related to your topic or your niche kind of thing. And once you have found an audience, a community of people, it is imperative that you engage with them and not wait for them to come and engage with you. So you like their posts, you comment on their stuff, meaningful comments. I talk about this all the time. You need to have actual conversations with these people because you have to realize that social media isn't this weird monolith of a company. Instead, they are real people. There are individual people on the other side of those accounts, and you have to find ways to connect with them. It's just like if you think about school. If you went to a brand new school in high school and you didn't talk to anyone, and you sat down at an empty table and you ate lunch by yourself and you never talked to anybody, and your thoughts were, people will come up and talk to me, it probably isn't going to happen. Everybody else at the school is probably going to be like, oh, who's the new weird kid, or anything like this. Instead, if you go to a new school and you make an effort to make friends and you show that you are nice and maybe funny, or that you are smart or athletic, you can find people who connect with you. Or maybe it's just you have a shared interest with them, like for us it's reptiles. So you can connect with people and you can build up friendships and you can build up relationships. And these turn into your base, your foundational organic audience. And when your organic audience on social media actively engages with you and actively comments, likes, shares your stuff, and shows support to you, that is the first key that any of the social media platforms need to know that the content that you're producing is high quality. And if the content that you produce is high quality, maybe there are other people who would like it. And then those platforms will take your content and they will recommend it to others, and that's how you can grow. I think that it is imperative to understand that social media isn't some random company that you are trying to get Instagram to like you. Instead, you need to get individual people to like you, and those people could be your new friends. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. I know that the marketing videos don't get as much views as the normal ones, but whenever we do the marketing videos, they seem to be the ones that people talk to us the most about. And if anybody needs some advice or wants to talk about marketing, I am all down. Send us a message on Instagram, just DM us, and we can try to set up some time, and I'll talk to you guys about marketing, and we can do it like one-on-one. So if you guys enjoyed the content, please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.